Hello, everyone. I am back on the Find Your Voice podcast, and I wanted just to give you a little update. You probably have noticed that I have uploaded a video. The last video that came out was an interview video, and I have decided after a long past of this channel and this Find Your Voice project that I have, let me just tell you how this all started and how it evolved and where I am now. It may still evolve. So when I started the Find Your Voice, I remember back then I was in a mastermind group and we were talking about different things. And I was always passionate about things such as, mindset and motivational things. And I always like making movies and making films was always a passion of mine. I had a video camera when I was pretty young. I was one of the first kids that had a video camera. None of my friends had that. And I started making these home videos and like doing all the neat stuff, like really telling stories. And it was much fun for me. Actually, before that, I already did that. I recorded like audiobooks and telling stories with all the like sounds inserted and stuff when I had just a tape recorder. So making films was always a passion of mine. And when I listened to music in my room at home, and I would then listen to songs, and like we had this tape that had like movie music on it. And movie music is from movies, but I didn't know the movies. But when I listened to the music, I would always have this entire movie playing in my head. And that was the movie I would have made. So at one point, I actually had this vision of, I would love to become a movie director because I have all these visions and see how a movie would happen, but all triggered by music. Like the music was always the foundation of all of that. I did write poems. I did write a lot of stories already back then. So when I was in this mastermind group a few years ago, it must have been about 8 years ago or so, I talked to everyone and I had this passion that was more than just always talking about vocal technique. It was more about finding your true self and expressing yourself in your true voice, which partially could be expressed through your singing voice, but there's just so much more to it. So I decided to start this channel, Find Your Voice. So the YouTube channel got started, and I also started a website. And in the beginning, I did a boot camp for singers. I also offered a mastermind for singers. These all happened. And I had a few people in there that was really amazing to connect with them. And we talked a lot about how can you make those things that you desire a reality, and how can you find your true voice as a singer or as a speaker. I coached some people on speaking when it comes to the voice, because speaking and singing, there are a lot of parallels. And in my past, when I was a professional opera singer and even in musical theater, you do have to do acting. You have to connect the acting part, the telling the story on stage, with the musical part, which is singing, and then of course connecting with the orchestra or band. So there's a lot going on. And that's why I felt like coaching speakers, they got a lot out of my coaching too. Then I made a bunch of videos that are more motivational and kind of mindset and those kind of things, which I'm very passionate about. I read a lot of books that are about self-development, and self-development is such like, we put it this in a box, but really what it means is trying to think about yourself and like having this goal of, I would like to be better tomorrow. And what is better, right? This is a label too. We don't want to put labels on anything, but what I've come to learn is the journey itself of me trying to become what I desire, that is already so much fun. And I know that it is very fulfilling to everyone who is on that journey. And that's why I wanted to put something out there to help others on that journey of asking yourself all these questions. Who am I, and what do I want to become? What do I want in life, and who do I want to be? So that you can be your true self, because we have so many influences from the outside that sometimes it's really hard to know, who am I and who do I want to be in this world? What do I want to create? What do I want to do? What do I want to maybe leave one day? What is my legacy going to be? And asking myself who I am and what do I want to be? What do I want to become? That doesn't mean I'm not happy with who I am now. It only means that it is a natural thing to grow, to evolve, and to be moving. It is like that in the world. Nothing is static, ever. Everything changes. In life, you change. When you're born, from the day you're born until the day you pass away, there's a lot happening. There's always constant movement, not just physically, also mentally. We learn, we change our minds, we have experiences that make us who we are. And that's amazing. And I love that journey, and I love thinking about that journey and being part of other people's journey and witnessing what they go through and learning from that and applying that to my own life and vice versa. I want to be maybe an inspiration to some people who want to apply some of the things I try out as just maybe a point where like, maybe I can try that out, or just to be thinking about it, like questioning. Maybe what I'm doing now is not what I want to do. It's just putting out there that everything is relative. Basically, everything is just relative, right? So then in the recent weeks, I have been listening to and watching to a lot of podcasts. So there was Ali Abdaal, really big YouTube channel with a podcast, Deep Dive podcast, where he did these very in-depth interviews, very interesting people who did like really great things, usually in the business world. And then Stephen Bartlett. He's an extremely successful man, and he's very young, but he's had so much success. He's a multi-millionaire, and he has this podcast called, wait a minute, I'm just like, Deep Dive by Ali Abdaal, and The Diary of a CEO is Stephen Bartlett's podcast. And he also has those interviews with individuals who are very, like, I don't like the word successful, but who have pioneered something, who have done something amazing that they're known for in their field. And those are such inspiring stories. So I was thinking about in regards to my Find Your Voice project, which is so much more than just singing technique. But I think even for people who sing, who are on stage, this is an important aspect. So I decided I would love to be inspired by talking to these people in the world who are in the singing world, whether it's coaches or singers or anyone else really who has something to contribute to think about when it comes to like being on stage, being a performer, being a singer. So I recently had my first interview with Daniel Robinson. There are more coming up. I have a really amazing interview coming up with one of the currently world's greatest sopranos. Yes, like she is amazing. That's coming out soon, and there are more to come. I'm also going to talk to singers who are maybe just getting started, who have big dreams. So if you are someone who has big dreams, maybe I want to talk to you and interview you and talk about these. It's the story behind the person that I feel is such an inspiration to get an insight, because everyone has these things going on inside of them. It's like we usually only see on the outside the action someone takes and like the final result of something. But there is a process that precedes all of that. And that is what I want to share. I want you to see and to take a peek into what are the stories behind these things, or what are the things, with that soprano that I just talked about. Turns out she also has 3 children. She also has twins, and she also is a single mom, and performing in opera. So topic came up, how do you navigate all that as a mother? And that came up like the mom guilt of being away so much, which I had to struggle with in the beginning when my older daughter was born and I was still out there doing a lot of, performances. And I want to get on a personal level with everyone and get a little glimpse of what brought that person where they are now. And I'm inspired by that. And I think talking to really amazing people who have done things that I admire that is an inspiration for me. And I absolutely hope that it is an inspiration for you too. So what can you expect on this channel? For the time being, I will probably still do some solo episodes, just like this one right here. But then at the same time, I'm going to try to bring in coaches, singers, and I don't know what else. Everyone, maybe someone who knows about health that relates to singing, everything that goes into that, I want to inspire. And really, maybe it's just a selfish thing. I want to be inspired. I love talking to these people. I love these connections. And maybe having a YouTube channel is a good reason to would you like to talk to me? And that is a reason for everyone to talk to me. This channel right here is my very small project that is still in the very beginning. I'm going to be more consistent. And then, of course, I can always kind of lure everyone into, I have a lot of followers on my main channel, which that's where I publish a shorter version of these interviews. And then everyone who wants the full length interview, this is going to be here. It's going to be found right here. So if you have not subscribed to this channel and you are interested in watching all these interviews or listening, you can also, not just on YouTube here, you can also listen on Spotify, anywhere where you can find podcasts. This podcast is also available, so you can listen also. I listen to tons of podcasts, and if you have YouTube Premium, you can, of course, always just listen in the background, have it on your phone, turn the video on, and then it is just an audio podcast. That's what I've been doing a lot. I don't really have time to watch anything these days. As a mom of twins, and they're toddlers, they're almost 2 years old, and an older daughter, she's 11 and she's in school. And right now, I've been having to help her with homework quite a bit this past week in math and German, and that it's a lot to navigate. So I just always wear my earphones whenever I can. Even when I play, I try to listen to something that inspires me, and that's why I have a lot of ideas. And I'm not going to say here goes nothing, because it isn't nothing. Here goes my attempt at contributing something that was inspired by some of the podcasts that I've been listening to that have really done a lot for me. And I hope this is going to do something for you. Alrighty, I'm going to wrap it up because I need to get a workout in the next 15 minutes before my babysitter leaves, because then it's just me and the kids. And then there's absolutely no chance to do anything else. Be blessed, and I hope you be back. And the motto of this channel is always dream big, because dreams really do come true. They sometimes may require work, sometimes maybe not so much, sometimes connections, just being at the right time, at the right place. But it's all up to you. Really, you are the creator of your future, and you can do whatever you do now creates your future. And I want to be maybe an influence. Talk later. Be blessed.